Hello and welcome to another Let's Play of Eldfall Chronicles. As you can see here, today we are playing the coalition of Thenion against the Empire of Soga on a more or less ruined city board. And we have our usual factions, so basically the Slayer Dragoon on Hill Lupus Rex, the Knight Temple Priestess, who already draw the Leave Unnoticed and Unmatched Flanking scheme, the Rangers Guild Hunters with the Poisoned Weapons for the Coalition of Thenion, and for the Empire of Soga, 2 Bushi Attendants, the Kitsune Spellmaiden, as the leader has drawn the Headhunt and Pursuit of Glory scheme, and finally the Mushi Blade Master with the Bujutsu and Kyutsu expertise. So, for this game, I tried to remember that the black die are for the Coalition of Thenion and the white die for the Empire of Soga. So, with these schemes drawn, let's begin there. I think that the Coalition of Thenion will keep the Leave Unnoticed scheme, because I think it is easier to be outside of the line of sight at the end of the game instead of trying to outmaneuver the Empire of Soga, especially with the Kitsune, who has 360 degree of vision because of her acute senses. And the Empire of Soga, I think, will keep the Pursuit of Glory. Here similar, I think it is easier to have models at the end phase outside of each other's awareness than it is to deal a death blow to a coalition of Thenion, who are quite difficult to pin down. So, with this, let's see what the generals roll up for initiative. 16 plus 8 for the coalition of Thenion, and 4 plus 15 for the Empire of Soga, so therefore 24 against the 19. The coalition of Thenion is allowed to decide, and the coalition of Thenion decides the deployment, and they choose to deploy alternating. The Empire of Soga, they choose, the coalition of Thenion chooses this side. I will just put down the footed model, and the Empire of Soga, they choose, since they're allowed to choose who has priority, they choose that the coalition of Thenion begins with the deployment. So, let me deploy the models, and I'll see you in the first turn of the coalition of Thenion. Okay, for the first turn and the first activation, the Knight Temple Priestess will take on the flight, and she will activate first. She will fly a little bit closer over here to still have line of sight to the Slayer Dragoon, and using her Enchanter class, she will cast the spell Unrelenting Zeal. Therefore, if the Slayer Dragoon has to make a moral check, she takes a wound, she can make a moral check and ignore the wound. And she will also cast here, let me just put an enchant token next to her. And in her second activation, she will fly once again a little bit closer up to here. And then she casts Fiery Fever at the Slayer Dragoon, a second enchantment, which removes some states, but more important, gives +2 to offense and defense. And with this, we are sending the missile. I already measured 6, 12, 18 inches. She just runs straight up, which triggers a few activations from the Musha Blade Master, this Bushi Attendant, and this Bushi Attendant. All three, in an attempt to stop her, will each spend a reaction and shoot at her. So I will just remove the token, and then I will start with the Bushi attendant at the far left, who, let's just check how far away he is. 12, 18. He actually is even within 20 inches, as we can see here. So therefore he has no penalty at his shot, because having a look here, which is totally outside of focus, the short bow, the upper one, here we are, has a reach of 0 to 20. So with this, the Bushi attendant has an accuracy of 12. It's one, but it has a strike of stamina, therefore 2 attacks, 2 11s, which is both beneath the accuracy of 12, therefore 2 hits. The Slayer Dragoon has a reduced armor of 3 only, and the shortbow has a toughness of 13, therefore 10 or less to wound. It's an 18 and a 17. 2 great hits, but no damage. But I also forgot that it's his reactive phase, therefore it would have been only 1. I will just correct it with the next Bushi attendant. 1 hit, or 1 strike. With a 10 he hits, and once again 10 or less, and this time it's a 13, another hit, but no wound. And finally the Musha Blade Master, also just 1 attack, with an accuracy of 12. It's a 9 to hit. He has also a toughness of 13, therefore 10 or less to wound, and a natural 1. This would mean a wound at the Slayer Dragoon, who is not allowed to make a tough moral check, and with the let's just see, she's still within the 14 inches awareness of the Knight Temple Priestess, and with this she has a moral of 21, therefore the wound is automatically ignored. But the first enchantment is popped, so no Unrelenting Zeal for her anymore. And with the next activation of the Slayer Dragoon, as we can see here, 6 inches to climb over the wall, and 12 inches to get into contact or close to the Kitsune Spellmate. So therefore she will use a run action, or a dash to be more specific, to get within 2 inches of the Kitsune Spellmaiden. This will once again provoke some reactions, and the first reaction will be from the Kitsune herself. She will use a dodge action, and since the Slayer Dragoon she will use a little bit more movement to stay outside of the 1 inch of the Bushi Blade Master, but the movement from here up to here will once again trigger reaction, and I will use it from all the other 3 to once again shoot at the Slayer Dragoon in a desperate attempt to put her down early. So the shooting occurs while she moves. So with this, I will think about where I got this token from. That's from the Kitsune. So now, once again, starting with this Bushi. With an 18 he misses, the Bushi in the middle. With a 2 he hits, 10 or less to wound. It's a 19, no wound. The Musha Blade Master, 11 hits, and it's a 19, once again no wound. The Slayer Dragoon has quite a lot of luck. Now the Slayer Dragoon has an enchanted offense of 19, and the Kitsune Spellmaiden needs an 14 or less to dodge. So let's see. 15 for the Kitsune Spellmaiden misses, but the 15 for the Slayer Dragoon hits. Therefore, she is now able to try to wound the Kitsune Spellmaiden with a strength of 24, I believe, and she has an armor of 1. Therefore, this is an automatic wound, or with a 6 it is a wound. And since the Kitsune Spellmaiden has only 1 hit point and has 1 hit point and takes 2 wounds, she's not only incapacitated, but she's dead. So, that was a very successful first turn for the coalition of Thenion, and it is still not over. Because now, the Ranger Skilled Hunter is allowed to move. He will move 6 inches up to the next wall and will reveal himself. Here he is. And with this, he gets the surprise attack, and he will attack this bushy attendant, who halves all his, or most of his relevant stats. But since the bushy attendant is already out of actions, he can not activate anyway. So therefore, the Ranger Skilled Hunter will now shoot, and he has 2 attacks with his shotgun. Has an accuracy of 40. It's a 2 and a 15. The 15 misses, but the 2 means since he has the assassin class, that's a critical hit, therefore ignoring the armor. And it has a toughness of 10, but the assassination combat arts increases it by 6, therefore 16 or less to wound. It's a 9, and this bushy attendant takes a wound. And now I have to check again what the poisonous trait does. Give me a moment. And poison 1 becomes weakened. And weakened causes the model to reduce its movement and agility by 5. Toughness. I think it was toughness. Just put a little token there. And with his next activation, the Ranger Skilled Hunter will activate once more, and once again shoot at the bushy attendant. Once again, 2 hits, or 2 strikes, 1 hit. This time the armor of 4 of the bushy attendant is applied, therefore 12 or less to wound, and with a 19 the armor saved the bushy attendant. So, this was the first turn of the coalition of Thenion. In the end phase, the Ranger Skilled Hunter uses his Ranger's class and drop back into cover. So, let me prepare the coalition of the Empire of Soga, and let's see if they can get back into the fight. Before we start into the first turn of the Empire of Soga, the weakened state causes the afflicted model to halve its toughness and reduce its stamina by 1. Therefore, it has only 1 stamina, which inflicts, in this case, a lot of things, not only the activation points, but also the strike value of the bow and short sword. So, but nevertheless, the Empire of Soga will play their scheme Pursuit of Glory, and therefore they try to get as many models outside of their 10 inches awareness as possible. So this bushy attendant will walk 5 inches up to here and will try to use his only action to shoot at the Ranger Skilled Hunter, who in return will respond with a shoot attack of himself. I know that this bushy attendant has only gets a -4 penalty because of the heavy cover, therefore he needs an 8, while the Ranger Skilled Hunter needs an 14. So the Ranger Skilled Hunter wins with a 7 against the 19 of the bushy attendant. And now he needs 16 -4, 2 or less to wound. It's a natural 20, therefore there is no wound on the bushy attendant. Lucky maneuver. Next, this bushy attendant will activate. He will also walk 5 inches, but turn this way, so that he is able to see the Slayer Dragoon, and this is 18, 20. The Slayer Dragoon is above the 20 inch, therefore he gets -6 at his attack, and the Slay Dragoon will try to just tank it. So -6, therefore he needs a 6 or less to hit, and with an 11, that's a miss. And next he will activate immediately again and walk 5 inches up to here to get a clear shot, or yeah, I think this is a clear shot at the Ranger's Guild Hunter, who will in return activate 2, turn to face his attacker, and both will attack each other. This time the Bushy Thenion has 2 shots, while the Ranger's Guild Hunter has only 1. It's a confrontation. The 4 is great, but the 17 misses anyway, and otherwise the Bushy Thenion gets a natural 1, therefore critical hit. He wins the confrontation, ignores the armor of 2 from the Ranger's Guild Hunter. This Bushy Thenion is not weakened, therefore he has still a toughness of 13, therefore 13 or less to wound, and it's an 18. The Ranger's Guild Hunter got lucky. So, this Bushy Thenion is out of activations, the other Bushy Thenion is out of activation, and they are obviously outside of 10 inches awareness. So next, let's check here. These are 6, and yeah, these are also more than 10 inches. With this, the Musha Blade Master can activate to get into contact with the Slay Dragoon, and the Slay Dragoon will use her activation to dodge. While is she dodging, she has a defense of 11, 12, 13, and her dodge, actually her defense is better than her agility, therefore she will attack herself with a defense of 13. While the Musha Blade Master has 2 swords, he has the Arms Master ability, and let's see what combat art he will use. He has combat art 4. He could use knockdown, -3 to modifier to hit, -1 strike, cannot reduce to 1 or +1 strike. I think he will use the fencing 1 actually and stay within 3 attacks to provide a -3. Therefore, he goaded the Slay Dragoon, who has now a defense of 10. So another confrontation. Defense 10, she failed. Therefore, the Musha Blade Master with an offense of 14 rolled a 4, 16, and a 7. Hits 2 times. He has a toughness of 13, minus the armor of 3, therefore 10 or less to wound. It's a 2 and a 5. These are 2 wounds, and the Slay Dragoon has 3, thanks to her being mounted. Therefore, she has only 1 wound remaining, and immediately the Musha Blade Master will strike again. This time, the Slay Dragoon will try to dodge, learning from her mistake. And with this, the Bushy Thenion will use the fencing 3 second wind ability to get another attack. So, dodging at a 12 or less, it's a 9. Therefore, the Musha Blade Master needs natural 1s. He even gets 1, 2, 6, and 5. This is a brilliant roll. But since the Slay Dragoon dodges, the natural 1 is the only hit that matters, ignoring the armor, therefore a 13 or less, and with a 14 the Slay Dragoon barely managed to scrap by. Moving 4.5 inches away from the Musha Blade Master. That was a dangerous turn for the Slay Dragoon, and with this, all 3 models of the Empire of Soga are outside of their awareness, and with this, the Pursuit of Glory we see causes them to get 3 victory points. So let me prepare the next turn, and I'll you for the Coalition of Thenion's reaction. With the Slay Dragoon endangered, the Coalition of Thenion will start with the Ranger's Guild Hunter, who will walk up to here and then use an attack at this. He will walk up to here. This bushy attendant will try to react, and the Rangers Guild Hunter, this bushy attendant will try to attack, and this bushy attendant will try to attack. The Rangers Guild Hunter on his turn will use a dodge action. Therefore, this Rangers Guild Hunter has an agility of 13. It's a 17, so I can even more for the bushy attendant, starting with this one, who will try to shoot while he's moving from here. Therefore, no penalty, 12 or less. It's an 11, it's a hit. This bushy attendant will shoot when he's here. Therefore, also 12 or less with a 9. Both bushy attendants hit. The Rangers Guild Hunter has an armor of 2. This bushy attendant has still a toughness of 13. Therefore, 11 or less to wound. It's an 18. It is not enough. This bushy attendant has half toughness. Therefore, 6.5. Rounding up 7. Minus 2, 5 or less. It's a 9. Not enough. So, lucky Rangers Guild Hunter. And now he will reposition himself a little bit closer up to here so that he can see the bushy attendant at the back here and shoot at him. The bushy attendant will use his reaction because he will try to dodge with his agility of 10. So let's see the black die for these Rangers Guild Hunter. At 2 and 11 both hits. The 19 is a failed dodge. The 2, because of the assassin class, is a critical hit. The non-critical hits needs a 12 or less. It's a 7. This is a wound. And the critical hit needs a 16 or less, which is an 11, which results in 2 wounds. Therefore, this bushy attendant is also incapacitated and would also be weakened. But that doesn't matter now. So with this out of the way, there are 2 contestants still. And let's start with the more interesting one. Before the Slayer Dragoon activates, the Night Temple Priestess 6 inches to 4 inches will fly up to here. I will measure the distance, but this should be enough. Yeah, that is within 12 inches. So now the Night Temple Priestess will, after she used her rock action and flew up to here, she will once again cast the what was it name again? Let me just see. The Fiery Fever spell, therefore +2 to offense and defense. And the bushy attendant will not react to this. Then the Night Temple Priestess will stop flying, just to get the benefits of cover. She will walk 5 inches up to here, and she will then cast the Agony spell at this bushy attendant, or at least she will try. Therefore, she needs now 14 or less. With a 17, she would fail, but she is a mage, and I believe that the mage class allows her to reroll, but let me just see if it's also... I know, she's allowed to spend an activation point to reroll, and therefore she's unable to reroll this spell, which failed. Now, the Musha Blademaster and the Slayer Dragoon activates will get into 2 inches of the Musha Blademaster, and the Musha Blademaster, as a response, will attack with a ranged attack. And for his range attack, he will use his archery 3 skill, staggering precision, which allows him, let me just double check, no, he has archery 2, not 3, so therefore impending movement, which gives the slowed state. But he's still able to attack with his accuracy of 12 instead of dodging with his agility of 11. The Slayer Dragoon has an offense of 19, therefore it's 12 against 19. It's a 2, and the Slayer Dragoon also has a 2. So this is a draw. And as far as I have read in the Discord, this means that both hit each other. But remembering that the Slayer Dragoon has the assassin class, this is a critical hit. And critical hits trump or win in a confrontation. Therefore, it's sorry for the Musha Blade Master, but the Slayer Dragoon wins this confrontation. And now the Slayer Dragoon has a power of 24 in total. The Musha Blade Master has an armor of 2, so this is a wound. Yeah. But the Musha Blade Master has a Berserker class, so therefore he's allowed to make a toughness roll to ignore this wound, and therefore the cleave ability will not activate. With a 6 he was able to ignore this wound and he stays healthy. He is nevertheless pushed back 2 inches. And now the Slayer Dragoon once more will activate to attack the Musha Blade Master. And a similar scenario will happen. So the Musha Blade Master will try to shoot while the Slayer Dragoon attacks. An 18 and a 2, so therefore this time the critical hit does not activate and the Musha Blade Master wins the confrontation. So first of all, the where is it? I think this token is it. She gets the slow state, and the Musha Blade Master has a power of 13 and minus the armor of 3, therefore it's a 10 or less to incapacitate the Slayer Dragoon. And this time it's a 6. With this, the Slayer Dragoon will get her last wound. She's automatically dismounted, stays here. I will just remove all the buffs and debuffs that she has. So here, she is incapacitated and the Musha Blade Master is still beating. So let me see, this was turn 2 of the Coalition of Thenion. I will prepare, or not right now, since this is the Ranger's Guild Hunter, he's allowed to walk 2 and get once again back into cover. Now I will prepare the Emperor of Soga's second turn, and I'll see you then. The Musha Blade Master here at the right is quite out of position. Therefore, he will spend his first activation and simply run 10 inches up to the wall. And since he's entering the reaction, the awareness of the Nighttime Priestess, she might have activated, but she decided not to. Especially not since she has her Foresight ability. And yeah, we'll see what the action step will bring. And then I think that this Bushy Attendant will activate. The Bushy Attendant will walk into contact with the Night Temple Priestess to attack her, which will trigger a reaction of the Ranger's Guild Hunter. As again, once said, she will use her Foresight later. But first, the Ranger's Guild Hunter attacking the Bushy Attendant. Before he gets into contact, with a 10 he hits. And with a 19 he fails to wound. So now the Bushy Attendant uses his short sword to attack. Normally it has 2 strikes, but because he's weakened it has only 1 strike. He needs a 12 or less to hit. He would hit, and now he will wound her. The Nighttime Priestess has an armor of 2. Therefore, since his power toughness is halved, 5 or less, and with a 12 nothing happens. She will not spend an activation. Finally, the Musha Blademaster activates, and he walks 1 inch here and then 4 inches closer to get also in contact with the Knight Temple Priestess. Once again, the Ranger Skill Hunter will shoot before he gets into contact. Sorry, these are the activation of the Knight Temple Priestess. So, the Ranger Skill Hunter, 1 shot. It's a 14. A 14 is just enough to hit. And 16 minus 2, 14 or less to wound. It's a 16, this is not enough to wound the Musha Blademaster, who will now use 2 attacks to strike at the Knight Temple Priestess. He gets another one for his Arms Master, and he will use the Fencing 4 skill to get the knockdown ability through Grapple and Thrash. She's using her foresight to wait and see. So it's a 2, it's a 20 and a 16, therefore this is only 1 hit. And with this 1 hit, he has a power of 13, an armor of 2, therefore 11 or less to wound. It's 3, this would also wound. So this time the Knight Temple Priestess will react to it, using her foresight and try to dodge with her agility of 14. It's a 12, therefore she successfully managed to dodge it and move 2.5 inches away from these two. So with no activation remaining, I will just prepare the next turn of the Coalition of Thenion and I'll let you join them. To score as many victory points as possible, the Coalition of Thenion tries to keep her Knight Temple Priestess alive. Therefore, the Ranger Skill Hunter moves up to here into half cover, or still in cover, to attack the Musha Blademaster, who in return will attack himself with his spell. Therefore, now he will dodge because of the -4 penalty. So in 11 for the Musha Blademaster and 14 or less for the Ranger Skill Hunter. With a 15 he failed to dodge, the 18 misses but the 9 hits. And now 16 minus 2, therefore 14 or less to wound. It's a 12, which would be enough, but the Berserker ability might help the Musha Blademaster once again, 13 or less. It's a 4, he ignores this wound successfully. And the Ranger Guild Hunter will just repeat it, and the Musha Blademaster will does the same. With this dodge action against 2 strikes. The dodge is a 10, which is successful, and the 2 15s also mean that they missed. And he uses it to dodge closer to the action. Now, the Knight Temple Priestess will activate. She will take on the fly, and she will just fly away 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 inches back to here. And while she does this, I will just remove 1 activation token, and while she does this, she will cast, if she's still within reach, she will cast the Agony spell at the Musha Blademaster. With an 18, this fails. She's not the greatest caster if she can't use her enchanter ability, because the Agony spell would be quite nice for her to prevent any further activations of the Musha Blademaster, and therefore she will just try to do it once more. Agony at the Musha Blademaster, and this time with a 12 it is successful. And therefore the Musha Blademaster now has to make an intelligence every time he activates or reacts. And now the Ranger Guild Hunter is allowed to move because of his Ranger class, and he uses it to retreat 6 inches back. Now, let me prepare the coalition of the Empire of Soga's turn, and I'll let you join them. Back to the wall, the Musha Blade Master will activate first, or tries, by attacking the Night Temple Priestess with his bow. First of all, he has to make an intelligence check. Before that, the Musha Blade Master will activate, walk into contact, and then he is allowed to, if a friendly model comes into base contact with the enchantment model, this enchantment ends. So, therefore the only action of the Musha Blade Master is quite useful. And now he will activate and shoot at the Night Temple Priestess using his marksman class he got from the Kyutsu expertise. She will use her first sight ability, but first of all 16 or less to hit. It's a 17, therefore it is a miss. Yeah. And now the Musha Blade Master tries to do it once again. 16 or less. This time it's a 7. The bow has a power of 16, therefore he needs a 14 or less. And with a 15 he fails. So basically this turn nothing happened for the Empire of Soga, which gives the Coalition of Thenion a chance to intervene. It's the 4th turn for the Coalition of Thenion. And let's jump right into it. Once again, the Ranger's Guild Hunter will activate first. He will once again walk into his cover position and attack the Musha Blade Master. The Musha Blade Master on his turn will spend his reaction to attack himself with his, will once again try to dodge. A 5 is a successful dodge, but 1 and 20, therefore the 1 hits. Needing a 14 or less to wound. It's a 3 Berserker ability of the Musha Blade Master. It's an 8, the wound is ignored and he's allowed to move 2.5 inches closer. And now the Ranger's Guild Hunter will walk 6 inches up to here, attacking the Musha Blade Master, which will trigger a reaction from both of the Empire of Soga models. Here it is once again a dodge, and the Bushi Attendant will attack him. Therefore, starting with the Bushi Attendant, 12 or less, it's a hit. 8 or less, because, well, okay, this is not a cover, so 12 or less, it's a hit. Normally half power of 7 minus 2, it's a 5 or less. It's actually 5. So therefore, this is a hit and a wound. And the Ranger's Guild Hunter is down. He's incapacitated because he only has 1 wound. 1 hit point. So, and still, since it was a reaction, his attack. 2 hits, but the Musha Blade Master dodges both 14. Therefore 2.5 inches towards the Night Temple Priestess, who's now alone, but has free rule what she wants to do. And I think she will get down from her flight, walk 5 inches up to the Musha Blade Master, and she will, since she is within 2 inches, she can use her spear to attack, and the spear has a strike value of 2. Stamina, which is 2, therefore 2 attacks, offense of 13, a 14 on the 6, 1 hit. She has a toughness of 12, therefore 10 or less to wound. It's 19, which is not enough to wound. And now she will walk her 5 inches up to here to get in cover, and she will try to cast the Agony spell once again at the Musha Blade Master. With a 17, she failed. So, this was the 4th turn of the Coalition of Thenion, getting right into the 4th turn of the Empire of Soga. And this is used for the starting with the Bushi Attendant. Or no, let's start with the Musha Blade Master, who will activate walk 5 inches up to here and shoot at the Night Temple Priestess, who will use her Foresight ability. So 12 or less to hit, it's a 19, so he misses. Now the Bushi Attendant will walk 5 inches up to here and shoot at her. Because she's in heavy cover, he needs an 8 or less to hit. With a 4 he hits. He has only a power of 7, therefore minus armor 2, 5 or less to wound. It's a 9, so she does not have to spend an activation. Now the Musha Blade Master will walk into contact with her, or within 1 inch, and attack. And the Night Temple Priestess once again will wait and see what happens. So this time the Musha Blade Master will use his 2 attacks from the Throat, 1 attack from Arms Master, and use Fencing 3 second wind for another attack. 4 attacks hitting of 14 or less. 3 17s, that's a bad roll. 1 hit. Now he needs an 11 or less to wound. It's a natural 1, which would mean a wound, which would mean the Night Temple Priestess would get knocked out. Therefore she will try to dodge. With a 10 she successfully dodges and gets up to here. So now the allocation was already right. 5, it's now turn 5. And in turn 5, it's the last turn the Night Temple Priestess can do any damage. She will take up the flight and she will just fly over 6 inches is up to here, and 10 inches she will fly over here. And she will cast once again the Agony spell at the Musha Blade Master. Both of these will react by attacking her while she's moving, so attack of opportunity. So basically the Bushi Attendant has a free attack, and these two are going about to have confrontation. The Musha Attendant, he hits her with a 9, and with a 17 fails to wound. The confrontation, 11 is a hit, the 20 is not, therefore the 11 hits the Night Temple Priestess, and he needs an 11 or less to wound. It's a 5. The Night Temple Priestess, when she takes off flight, is shot by the Musha Blade Master. She is incapacitated, and therefore the Coalition of Thenion ends the game. So let me take a total count of victory points, and I'll let you join then for the after action report. So for the final count of victory points, let's see. Both sides receive 1 victory point because each leader, the Kitsune and the Night Temple Priestess, are incapacitated or dead. Therefore, each side gets 1 victory point for that feat. Next, 1 victory point, 3 victory points. Let's go this way. 3 victory points for each enemy model with recruitment points of 20 more or 2. The Slayer Dragoon on her Lupus Rex, as well as the Night Temple Priestess, each cost 22 points. Therefore, these are a total of 6 additional points for the Empire of Soga. Therefore, 7 points for them. The Coalition of Thenion defeated the Kitsune Spellmain and the Bushi Attendant, which only have a recruitment point of 60. There are 16 or respectively 13, therefore this is only one recruitment point, victory point each, therefore increasing the score to 3. But the Rangers Guild Hunter, let me just double check his point value, has a point value of 19 plus 2 for the poisoned weapons, therefore 21, which means he has a total value of 2 additional victory points, which increases the score to 9. And the Empire of Soga managed to complete the Pursuit of Glory with 3 additional victory points. Therefore, the final score is 12 for the Empire of Soga and 3 for the Coalition of Thenion in this Utmost Services, making the Empire of Soga the winner. I think this was quite an exciting game, with the Kitsune Spellman being killed by the Slayer Dragoon in the first turn was a huge blow, but the Empire, and also that this Bushitan was weakened by the Rangers Guild Hunter. Also, I think at the first or at the second turn, this took the Empire of Soga at a huge disadvantage, but through the sheer determination of the Musha Blade Master and his Berserker class, the Empire of Soga actually was able to pull out a huge win with 4 times the points of the Coalition of Thenion. With this, I hope you enjoyed this Let's Play, and I'm looking forward to hearing how I can improve my videos for you guys, so please comment in the down below. Until then, have a good day.